On show 451, Ford beats emissions rules with hybrids, BMW's iX3 and Hyundai's adjustable performance tech. Those stories and many more coming up on today's podcast. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening wherever you're listening around the world. Hopefully you had a lovely Easter if you were marking that and celebrating that and having some holiday time. Possibly we have 4 days holiday here in the UK, Friday and today off work. It's so lovely. 4 days off work. Doesn't mean I've stopped working, just means 4 days of a difference of routine, which is always nice. Bit of gardening, actually. 4 glorious days of weather. And that leads me on to what we'll talk about first on EV News Daily. By the way, Monday 22nd of April edition today. As I record this, we have just finished off setting a brand new record here in the UK. 90 hours and 45 minutes is the longest coal-free run in Britain since the Industrial Revolution, beating the previous record in April 2018. Not since we first started burning coal industrially have we gone longer without turning on a single coal-powered plant here in the UK. Thank you to everyone in the UK with things like solar on their roofs. Hello to everyone who works in the renewables industry in the UK. It means a lot to me personally to know that all the EV miles I've done over the last 4 days of being off work and doing lots of driving wherever I've charged, even if I've not been sure of the source of that electricity, I know no coal has been burned here in the UK. 90 hours and 45 minutes. Not a single coal-powered plant's been turned on. It's just fantastic. Hey, thank you very much to myev.com for helping make this show. They are the world's first marketplace for buying and selling and learning about EVs. If you're in the USA, then check it out. You know, there's more cars than ever before on there. And maybe you want to do some window shopping, or maybe you are seriously ready to click the button and buy an EV. Check it out. So it's Earth Day today, and taken from earthday.org, they say that nature's gifts to our planet are the millions of species that we know and love, and many more that will remain to be discovered. Unfortunately, human beings have irrevocably upset the balance of nature, and as a result, the world is facing the greatest rate of extinction since we lost the dinosaurs more than 60 million years ago. But unlike the fate of the dinosaurs, the rapid extinction of our species in our world today is the result of human activity. The unprecedented global destruction and rapid reduction of plant and wildlife populations are directly linked to the causes driven by human activity. Climate change, deforestation, habitat loss, trafficking and poaching, unsustainable agriculture, pollution and pesticides, to name a few. The impacts are far-reaching. If we don't act now, extinction may be humanity's most enduring legacy. And that is taken from earthday.org, if you are wondering what Earth Day is all about. I'm sure you've seen some coverage. Let's stay with the topic then, in terms of, the Earth. More than ever, consumers have become the swinging voters of product success. Most people are choosing companies that take a stand on important social, cultural, environmental and political issues, reports Forbes today. That's according to an online survey of nearly 30,000 people by Accenture Strategy, conducted in 35 countries from August to October last year. Homing in on cars, Accenture Strategy investigated EV adoption and conducted a whole separate survey of 6,000 people. They found the cost of EV batteries falling by more than 80% over 6 years, which made the purchase price of a full battery electric vehicle comparable to combustion engine cars, they say. The report concluded that EVs are poised to overtake conventional cars. I would call them unconventional these days, but there you go. By the year 2040, consumers reported that environmental concerns would be their primary motivator for purchasing EVs, followed by long-term cost-saving opportunities offered in comparison to traditional cars. End quote. I'll put a link to Forbes in the show notes if you want to read more about that survey. I thought it's kind of interesting, actually. Survey of 6,000 people about EVs, and they say that over the last 6 years, the price of a battery electric vehicle is now comparable to a combustion engine car. That's not true. We know that's not true, but it's coming. Price parity is coming, but EVs are more expensive, so a weird thing to say. And also, they said that consumers reported environmental concerns, their primary motivator to buy an EV, and we know that's not true. Multiple studies over and over again put environmental between I see it between about 3 and 5 on the list of reasons why you bought. So I'm wondering if this is a list of, or this is a survey of people who aren't yet EV drivers. And so they're asking them, I can't see the questions or the data set. I'm wondering if they asked, why would you buy an EV? And if you ask, why would you buy an EV? People do say, environmental reasons. They're good for the planet. Actually, when you test drive one, or a friend or family member has one, and you have a go in an electric car for the first time, I'm sure you'll agree. The number one thing, which we see on surveys and studies over and over again, the number one thing people love about EVs is the performance and the torque and the fun. The cost is, I see cost at number 2 or number 3 a lot. Environmental, like I say, I've never seen that top in all the studies that I follow and look at every survey that's done that I can find with EVs. But I'll put a link in the show notes. It's interesting, right? So Tesla's Autonomy Day is today. They're holding their Autonomy Day later, with the company inviting investors to its headquarters in Palo Alto, California. And they're going to do a deep dive into the company's full self-driving initiatives, says Simon at Teslarati. That'll be after this show is recorded and published. So tomorrow's podcast will all be about what that event covered. During the event, Tesla will share its full self-driving roadmap to attendees. They are going to stream the whole thing live. Several key execs are going to be in the presentation. Of course, Elon Musk will be there. The VP of Engineering, Stuart Bowers. The VP of Hardware Engineering, Pete Bannon. Looking forward to him speaking. And the Senior Director of AI, Andrei Karpathy. Talk about a super brain. He has like 5 super brains all working at once. All addressing the attendees. Investors will have the opportunity to experience test rides in vehicles equipped with autopilot and full self-driving features that haven't even been released to anybody else yet. Well, Tesla says that they are making significant progress in the development of their autonomous driving software and hardware, including the full self-driving computer, which is currently in production and will enable full self-driving via a future over-the-air software update. With a number of exciting developments coming in the weeks and months ahead, Tesla will host investors on April 22nd in Palo Alto to provide a deep dive into our self-driving technology and our roadmap, they say. Let's talk VW now, and VW has an electric hatchback in the works. It's called the ID. Maybe the ID Neo. It's the first one, so maybe it's the ID 1. If you rearrange the letters Neo, maybe that is an internal working name. It's going to be the ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, or maybe it's going to be called the Neo, or maybe Neo will never be the public name. We just don't know at the moment, but we know it's called the ID. And spy photographers for Motor1.com recently caught a prototype testing in the snow and the cold weather. Our colleagues say Motor1.com and all-round electric pros over at Inside EVs say the VW should have a range of 342 miles, that's 550 Ks, from the 150 kilowatt motor. That's the launch vehicle, top spec, best you can get. A lower end model with 200 miles, 330 Ks will be coming in the next couple of years. Europe only for now. US sales will start next year. And I think that anything 342 is too much, too high. Anything around 300 will be a stellar number. Anything above 300 is going to be a super number. And I'm talking here on WLTP test cycle. The EPA range will be a little lower. It's more realistic if you ask me. Anything just under 300 is still amazing. Anything from 250 upwards is a great range for a car. I don't know the battery size going into the VW ID1/Neo, but whatever it is, don't call it a Golf. It's definitely not a Golf. It's the new one. Looks like a Golf. Same size as a Golf. They say it's going to have price parity with a top-of-the-range Golf, but it's not a Golf. It's the ID. Let's talk a much cheaper car, should we? Let's talk MG. MG will target the $30,000 price tag, and this is an Aussie website, so Aussie dollar price tag for its upcoming EZS. The EZS is an all-electric, small SUV, and it's going to make it Australia's cheapest EV when it hits the showrooms over the next 12 months, reports goauto.com.au. Well, Hyundai's Ioniq Electric is the smallest and cheapest car that's all electric in Australia. That's $45,000 odd. The MG EZS will compete directly against the South Korean brands like Kona Electric, the small SUV. That's 60,000 Aussie dollars. The electric version of the ZS, the EZS, is going to sit atop the current platform, the lineup of MG's SUVs. The Soul, by the way, the E-Soul is... the price of that is going to be more expensive as well. But then again, the EZS, the MG car, has a much smaller battery, 44.5 kilowatt hours. They're still testing it on the NEDC, really old test procedure driving cycle. So they say that it's going to do 335 kilometers. It's not going to be a long range EV by the time you do some real world cold weather testing. On the road last week for a test drive, the MG EZS showed it not only paves the way for a new road of EVs, it has impressive economy, it said, for a broad range of buyers, including those who haven't previously had an EV. It says goauto.com.au. I'll put a link in the show notes down there, by the way. Talking of Australia, I'm guessing in Aussie, you're never really going to have the issue of batteries getting cold. But over the last couple of weeks here in the UK, it's definitely felt like winter is over, spring is here. Even the last couple of days, it's felt summery, 25, 26 degrees C. And it's really interesting how... I noticed it last year, but I seem to have noticed it more this year. My winter range and my summer range, how different that is by about 40 miles. And so with my little Renault Zoe, that's the difference between 70 miles and 110 miles on a 22 kilowatt hour pack. And I'm talking around town mileage here. I'm talking about 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour, stop-start traffic. I can get some really good miles because I drive the EV like it's a game. I don't just drive it like a normal car. I drive my car like every journey's a challenge, right? Just to keep me interested. I just like maximum efficiency because I've got a little teeny weeny battery. And so it's really interesting, actually. We've had some hot weather, particularly the last 4 or 5 days. It's been above 20 degrees and the range has been just fantastic. And I did 20 miles today and on the guessometer, it lost about 7 or 8 miles just because I was in stop-start traffic and just fantastic. So yay for the warm weather. Australia, you should all be driving EVs. You haven't got the cold winters that we have to halve your range. Let's talk about Ford. Not making too many EVs at the moment, but they have got some EVs and some hybrids, actually, on their roadmap. Ford of Europe says its coming range of hybrid models is going to permit it to comply with the new strict emissions rules that are coming out of Europe that are set for 2020, for next year and 2021 as well, without the risk of paying fines. And many of these big automakers face hundreds of millions, if not in the billions of fines, unless they sort this out. But they've known it's coming for a very long time. A few of them are starting to complain a little bit too publicly about this, but not Ford. Not Ford. They've said they've got a solution. They've told Automotive News Europe the solution is hybrid cars. Like many automakers here in Europe, they are going full electric. Like VW Group, they're preparing for a ton of cars on their new platform across all of the VW names. The new CO2 emissions are new emissions reductions targets. Ford's going to take a different route to many of those, though. They're going to go more like Toyota on hybrids rather than pure battery electric cars. Ford is ramping up the launch of its hybrids with a special emphasis, though, on plug-in hybrids. And that's super cool, right? Because anything that doesn't have a plug isn't really an EV. It's clever technology. Well, it's pretty old technology now, but you can get a bit more efficiency out of it. You can do maybe a mile or two on EV mode only, I suppose. Hybrids are great. If you own a hybrid and you listen to this podcast, I'm sure you love your car. Nothing wrong with them. Not for me, but anything with a plug is just that little bit better, I think, going forward, because it's probably going to have a bigger battery, 10-ish kilowatt hour battery, maybe a little bit more as well, and you very rarely find that you'll dip into your fuel tank, whereas a soft hybrid, like the Toyota hybrid products, which are very soft hybrid, these are like 48 volt hybrid systems some companies are using, but like the Toyota system, pretty soft hybrid. It helps a little bit with economy, get a little bit of regen braking put back into the battery, but otherwise, apart from that, look, the Prius has been on sale forever. and it seems like they're stuck in the dark ages with their technology. So Ford is going hybrid, but with a plug, which is brilliant. Their new Kuga, Kuge, if you haven't heard about it, Kuga compact crossover under the EU credit system rating. Let me explain this according to Automotive News Europe. That I've got a good summary for you. So if you're new to this, let me try and do this in 30 seconds. Any car emitting less than 50 grams of CO2 per kilometre will count as 2 vehicles from next year. And then the year after, it'll count as 1.67 vehicles. And then the year after that, 1.33 vehicles. And in 2023, it'll be counted as 1 vehicle. To help tackle climate change, what the EU is doing is they're mandating automakers sell cars in Europe to reduce the industry-wide fleet CO2 emissions to 95 grams per kilometre by 2021. That's down from 120 grams of CO2 per kilometre. Each automaker has a slightly different target based on the average mass of its vehicles. Ford of Europe, by the way, their target in 2021 is going to be 95.4 grams of CO2 per kilometre, for instance. To help tackle that change, what they're doing is they're bringing it in slowly, but also with fines for those that don't get to those targets. Hence why Fiat Chrysler, have got no chance of hitting it, have pooled with Tesla and will be paying Tesla to use a bit like the credits, a bit like the ZEV credits in the US. So I hope that's explained. It kind of gets super complicated the more you go into it, but I hope that's explained it a little bit. Let's talk BMW. BMW's first ever fully electric SUV is the iX3. It's spotted in Munich over the weekend during some testing sessions. The SUV is based on the X3. It's arriving next year. It's not only going to be the brand's first electric SUV, but built on a platform that covers all aspects of mobility. So the platform that's built on, they'll put ICE cars together on the platform, plug-in hybrids, full electric, says BMW blog today. The new EV is going to be built on the same platform as the current X3, and the iX3 will have the full electric drivetrain. It's going to bring BMW's new battery and powertrain technology, which is a 70 kilowatt hour battery pack, more than double the biggest battery they have out at the moment, which is in the latest i3. Hyundai are doing an interesting thing. Hyundai Motor Group are developing a smartphone app that pairs with your EV, and you can adjust the performance of the car from your app per user. It's an industry-first innovation, they say. Drivers can use the technology to adjust 7 different performance features. Things like maximum torque output of the motor, full acceleration mode, the deceleration abilities like regen, the maximum speed limit, the responsiveness, the energy use when climate control is on. All of these things can be managed from the app, and you can have presets and settings according to the user. The application provides optimized settings for the destination you're getting to as well. It'll analyze the remaining distance and the energy that is required, and it'll also accommodate sporty driving by recommending tailored settings to get the most out of the car. Right, finally, to celebrate Earth Day, says motoringresearch.com, they've looked at all the full battery electric vehicles on the market and ranked them according to their 0 to 60 times. If any of them matched, they use the top speed as a tiebreaker. It might not be the greenest use of electricity, but as long as your electricity is produced by renewable sources, why not have some fun in your EV? You know the result of this already. The top 3 places are all taken by Tesla. Model S, Model X, Model 3, of course, ludicrous mode on the P100DL, not that we call it that, they call it the long range now, don't they? On the Model S, 2.4 seconds. I need to brush up on my Tesla fanboy knowledge. But more interesting is, so that's the top 3 are always going to be a Tesla because they do make fabulous cars. What's in 4th place? 4th place was the Jaguar I-Pace, 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds, top speed 124 mile an hour. If you want to see the full, and then it was the Bolt after that. See the full list. I'll put a link in the show notes. Hey, time to answer this week's question of the week. It's a bit of a fun one this week, and I love it, thanks to myev.com, who've set our question of the week. What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard about EVs? What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard about EVs? You can email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com, or leave a comment on the Facebook or YouTube comments if you want to. time for the endy bit. There are 214 patrons of the podcast who keep me going, if you've noticed. That was 216 yesterday. Yeah, 2 of our $5 producers came to the end of the support they wanted to give. And so thank you very much. I will send you a note to thank you personally. Funnily enough, 2 in one day. You can do that anytime if you're on Patreon, and it's a way of supporting creators. There's no commitment. Anytime you can cancel if you want to, and I often have people join me every week and occasionally have people stop their support as well, and that's absolutely fine. There's no pressure at all. You haven't got to pay for the show. I'll always do it free. If you want to support me, you're more than welcome. You can go to patreon.com/evnewsdaily, Patreon. It's all about, while you're on there, you might find some other creators that maybe you want to support or just see what they're up to. If you want to get any of the previous shows, 450 of them, all online for free at evnewsdaily.com and the usual places you get your podcasts for Apple and Google and Spotify. And if you want to leave a little review, maybe on iTunes, that would be amazing. In the meantime, come and say hi on the socials by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.